Hey, welcome back. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of rare Australian pre-decimal half pennies from the King. George V era 5 extraordinary coins that represent some of the most coveted treasures in numismatic history. These include the legendary 1916 mule, along with the highly sought-after 1917, 1919, 1921, and 1932 issues, each with its own story of rarity, historical significance, and impressive market value. Let's start with the crown jewel of Australian coin collecting, the 1916 Australia Commonwealth 1/2 penny mule, a coin that stands as the undisputed rarest circulating issue of the entire Commonwealth era, captivating collectors with its dramatic origin story, extreme scarcity, and remarkable market performance. It's 1916, the height of World War I. Supply lines from Britain to Australia are under constant threat from German submarines, disrupting the flow of essential bronze coinage needed for everyday transactions. In a growing nation, to address this crisis, the Royal Mint in London makes an unprecedented decision to outsource production of Australia's pennies and half pennies to its branch, Mint in Calcutta, India. This marks the first time non-Indian coins are struck at Calcutta, with a total mintage of 3,600,000 regular 1916 half pennies, each bearing a small I mint mark below the lower scroll on the reverse to denote their Indian origin. At the same time, the Calcutta Mint is busy producing its own local currency, including the quarter anna, a small bronze coin very similar in size, weight, and composition to the Australian half penny. The diameters are nearly identical, 25.5 mm for the half penny versus 25.4 mm for the quarter anna, and the planchets are close enough that errors could easily slip through. In the midst of this dual production frenzy, a staggering minting mistake occurs. An obverse die intended for the Indian quarter anna is accidentally paired with the standard reverse die for the Australian halfpenny. The result is the infamous mule, a hybrid coin with the obverse featuring King George V crowned and robed, but with the simplified legend George V King Emperor, lacking the full British titles and imperial references found on standard Australian issues, subtle design differences like an elephant on the king's regalia, and no pearls in the crown band. The reverse, however, remains purely Australian, 1/2 penny within a beaded circle, surrounded by Commonwealth of Australia, 1916, with the I mint mark below. This error was likely detected quickly, as the mismatched dies produced only a tiny number before being corrected. Estimates of how many mules were struck vary wildly, from unsubstantiated claims of around 250, with some supposedly distributed intentionally, to more conservative views suggesting far fewer, perhaps just a handful. What is certain is the extraordinary rarity today. Only about 10 genuine examples are accepted by experts, with a few more possibly lurking undiscovered in old collections. All known specimens have been recovered from circulation within Australia, starting with dramatic discoveries in the mid-1960s that sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. The story of its revelation adds layers of intrigue. The first public recognition came in July 1965, when South Australian collector Cecil Poole presented a peculiar 1916 halfpenny at a meeting of the Numismatic Society of South Australia. Soon after, more surfaced in Adelaide and Melbourne, including one from the Calcutta collection that sparked auctions and heated debates over authenticity in coin magazines. Skepticism was rife decades after minting. These noon rarities were initially dismissed by some as fakes. Intense scrutiny followed, involving experts from the Royal Australian Mint and even the Royal Mint in London. But authentication prevailed. All mules share diagnostic markers, like a small die flaw, a pimple, on the reverse above the N in R1, confirming they came from a single die pair. This mule eclipses even iconic Australian rarities like the 1923 halfpenny or 1930 penny in terms of known population, fewer than a dozen versus hundreds. For those keys, making it a true unholy grail for advanced collectors pursuing complete George V series or era coins with wartime provenance. It embodies a perfect storm of historical context, WWI outsourcing, production anomaly, cross-colonial die mix-up, and sheer elusiveness. offering a tangible link to an era of global upheaval and imperial coinage practices. In the marketplace, its value reflects this unparalleled status. While all examples show circulation wear, none known in mint state, superior specimens in very fine to extremely fine condition have commanded premium prices at auction. Historical sales include figures in the tens to low hundreds of thousands of Australian dollars, with top-grade or noteworthy provenance pieces, realizing sums that underscore its blue-chip investment potential, often cited in the range of hundreds of thousands, such as realizations approaching or exceeding $10,000 for the finest known, depending on condition and market conditions. As global interest in rare errors and colonial hybrids continues to grow, this coin's enduring appeal and limited supply position, it is a cornerstone of value-focused numismatic portfolios, with strong prospects for appreciation. Let's explore another remarkable piece from the wartime era of Australian bronze coinage. Next up, the 1917 Australia Commonwealth 1 half penny, a classic issue struck during the ongoing challenges of World War I at the Calcutta Mint in India, bearing the distinctive I mint mark that ties it directly to this unique period of outsourced production. As the Great War entered its third grueling year in 1917, Australia's need for circulating coinage remained critical, with everyday transactions relying on reliable supplies of pennies and half pennies to keep the economy moving amid rationing, troop deployments, and industrial shifts toward war efforts. British supply routes across the oceans were still vulnerable to enemy threats, prompting the continued delegation of bronze coin production to the Royal Mint's branch in Calcutta, a decision that began in 1916 and extended through 1918 to ensure uninterrupted delivery of essential small change to the Commonwealth. The 1917 half penny follows the standard George V design introduced earlier in the decade. The obverse showcases the crowned and robed portrait of King George V facing left, crafted by renowned engraver Sir Edgar Bertram McKennell, with the full legend Jorgavs Phi DG Brit, Omn Rex FD Ind. Imp encircling the bust and the artist's subtle initials, BM, below the truncation. This regal effigy, symbolizing imperial stability during turbulent times, became iconic across British Commonwealth coinage. On the reverse, the familiar composition features 1 half penny arranged in 3 lines within an inner beaded circle, above a plain lower scroll, all surrounded by the outer legend. Commonwealth of Australia, 1917. What sets this issue apart is the small yet significant I mint mark positioned directly below the lower scroll, proudly denoting its origin at the Calcutta Mint, the only Australian half pennies, to carry this mark during the George V series for circulating issues from India. Unlike the dramatic 1916 Mule era that overshadowed its predecessor with hybrid dies, the 1917 is a pure intentional strike, produced in substantial quantities to meet demand, with mintage figures contributing to a healthy surviving population compared to scarcer dates. However, its historical context elevates it beyond a common type coin. These Calcutta-struck pieces represent a fascinating chapter of imperial collaboration, where Indian mint facilities, experienced in producing local annas and rupees, adapted to Australian specifications, ensuring that bronze coins reached Australian pockets without interruption despite global conflict. Collectors particularly prize high-grade examples of the 1917 I, as many entered heavy circulation during the post-war economic boom of the 1920s, resulting in typical wear that obscures the fine details of McKennell's portrait and the crisp beading on the reverse. Uncirculated or choice specimens retain original mint luster, sharp strikes revealing the intricate robe folds and crown jewels on the obverse, and full definition in the lettering and scrolls on the reverse, qualities that make them standout additions to advanced George V half-penny sets or wartime numismatic collections, while not plagued by the extreme rarity of errors or depressed mintages seen in other years. The 1917 holds steady appeal for its provenance, clean design, and role in completing the short-lived Indian minted subset of the series, just 1916I, 1917I, and 1918I. It serves as an accessible yet meaningful key date for enthusiasts building date runs, appreciating colonial mint history, or seeking tangible artifacts from World War I era production. In the current market, premium conditioned examples, particularly those with attractive toning, Minimal marks and strong eye appeal command significant value, reflecting sustained demand from investors and collectors alike. Superior pieces in very fine to extremely fine or better grades have achieved auction realizations in the higher five-figure to low six-figure range, with standout sales for the finest available approaching or exceeding $135,000, affirming its position as a value-driven highlight in the rare pre-decimal Australian bronze series with excellent long-term potential. Let's turn our attention to a pivotal transitional piece in Australian numismatics. Next up, the 1919 Australia Commonwealth 1 half penny, a coin that symbolizes the dawn of fully domestic bronze production following the end of World War I, struck at the Sydney Mint during a time of post-war reconstruction and growing national confidence in Australia's minting capabilities. By 1919, the armistice had brought an end to the global conflict that had necessitated outsourcing Australia's small change to the Calcutta Mint in India for the previous few years. With peace restored and supply lines secure, the focus shifted to building self-sufficiency in coinage. The newly operational Sydney Mint took on the responsibility for half-penny production that year, while the Melbourne Mint handled pennies, a division of labor between the two. Australian facilities that marked the beginning of true independence from overseas mints for circulating bronze issues. This 1919 half-penny bears no mint mark, as was standard for domestically struck coins in this era, distinguishing it from the I-marked wartime pieces of 1916 through 1918. The design remains faithful to the established George V series. The obverse displays Sir Edgar Bertram. McKennell's masterful portrait of the king, crowned and robed facing left, with a comprehensive legend. Jorgiv's 5DG Brit, on Rex FD Ind, Imp, encircling the bust and the subtle BM's initials at the truncation. This effigy, evoking imperial authority tempered by the realities of a war-weary empire, served as a steady anchor across Commonwealth coinage. The reverse is elegantly simple yet bold. 1 half penny, in 3 centered lines within an inner beaded circle, above a plain lower scroll, all framed by the outer inscription, Commonwealth of Australia, 1919, while mintage figures for the 1909 were sufficient to meet immediate circulation needs in a recovering economy. The coin's significance lies in its historical positioning as one of the very first half pennies fully produced on Australian soil after years of reliance on foreign facilities. Many examples entered prolonged circulation during the prosperous Roaring Twenties, enduring pocket wear that often softened the fine details of the king's robe folds, crown jewels, and reverse beading. As a result, survivors in higher grades, particularly those retaining original mint, red or reddish-brown luster, sharp strikes, and minimal contact marks are notably scarcer and highly prized by discerning collectors. This date appeals to those assembling complete George V half-penny date sets, appreciating transitional issues, or seeking artifacts from the immediate post-World War, a period when Australia was asserting greater autonomy in its economic and cultural identity. It bridges the exotic Indian-minted wartime coins and the more abundant domestic strikes of the 1920s and beyond, offering a tangible connection to an era of change and optimism. In today's dynamic market, choice uncirculated or gem examples with vibrant color, full luster, and exceptional eye appeal stand out as premium offerings, reflecting growing international interest in high-quality pre-decimal Australian bronze. Superior specimens in mint state or near-mint condition have realized impressive auction prices, with top-tier pieces achieving sums up to or exceeding $257,000 in recent years, cementing its reputation as a standout value proposition for serious investors pursuing rarity, historical depth, and proven appreciation potential in the numismatic arena. Next up, the 1921 Australia Commonwealth 1 half penny, struck during the vibrant early 1920s as the nation fully embraced domestic production capabilities at the Sydney Mint, reflecting a period of post-war optimism, economic growth, and increasing self-reliance in Australia's coining history. Following the conclusion of World War I and the transition away from Indian outsourcing, 1921 marked a consolidation of bronze coinage within Australia's own mints, with the Sydney Mint responsible for half-penny production that year and the Melbourne Mint handling pennies. This division allowed for efficient output tailored to circulation. demands in a booming economy, fueled by the roaring 20s, export booms, urban expansion, and a sense of national progress. The 1921 halfpenny, bearing no mint mark as was customary for domestic strikes, was produced in moderate quantities to support everyday commerce, with mintage estimates around 4 to 5 million pieces, sufficient to meet needs, without the excesses seen in peak years, but enough to ensure wide distribution. Across the Commonwealth, the design adheres to the timeless George V template. The obverse features Sir Edgar Bertram, McKennell's dignified portrait of the king, crowned and robed facing left, encircled by the legend, Jorgivs 5DG Brit, on Rex FD Ind, Imp, with the artist's initials BM discreetly placed at the neck truncation. This effigy, a symbol of continuity in the British Empire during a transformative decade, captures fine details in higher grades, from the intricate crown jewels to the textured folds of the royal robe. The reverse maintains its elegant simplicity. 1 halfpenny, boldly, arranged in 3 lines within a central beaded circle, above a plain lower scroll, all framed by the outer inscription, Commonwealth of Australia, 1921. While not afflicted with the dramatic low mintages of Depression-era issues or the exotic provenance of wartime Calcutta strikes, the 1921 gains its appeal through conditional rarity. Many examples saw extensive use during the prosperous yet inflationary 1920s, circulating heavily in pockets, tills, and markets as Australia rode waves of commodity exports and population growth. Consequently, survivors in superior condition are far scarcer than mintage figures suggest, with uncirculated or choice pieces, preserving original bronze luster, often with reddish hues transitioning to brown toning, razor-sharp strikes highlighting the beaded borders and lettering, and minimal distractions for outstanding eye appeal. This date serves as a reliable mid-tier entry for collectors pursuing complete George V halfpenny date runs or those appreciating the narrative of Australia's maturing mint infrastructure in the interwar period. It offers a balanced blend of historical relevance, capturing the spirit of a confident young nation and tangible scarcity in premium grades, without the extreme premiums of true key dates. In the contemporary market, high-quality examples, particularly those graded choice, uncirculated or gem with attractive surfaces and strong technical merits, demonstrate robust demand from both type collectors and investors seeking pre-decimal bronze with proven stability. Standout specimens in mint state or near mint preservation have realized significant auction prices, with top-conditioned pieces achieving sums around $79,000, positioning the 1921 as an intelligent, value-oriented acquisition in the rare Australian halfpenny landscape with considerable upside. Potential as appreciation for well-preserved early Commonwealth issues continues to rise. Let's conclude our exploration of these extraordinary George V Australian halfpennies with a true Depression-era survivor. Next up, the 1932 Australia Commonwealth 1 halfpenny, a poignant emblem of economic hardship struck in severely limited numbers at the Melbourne Mint, capturing the stark realities of the Great Depression and earning its place as one of the most elusive key dates in the pre-decimal bronze series. By 1932, the world was gripped by the deepest throes of the Great Depression, and Australia was no exception. Unemployment soared past 30%. Banks faltered, trade collapsed, and everyday spending plummeted as families tightened belts to survive. With drastically reduced demand for small change, the Melbourne Mint sharply curtailed bronze coinage production, focusing resources elsewhere while striking only minimal quantities of pennies and pennies to replenish worn circulation stock. This 1932 halfpenny, bearing no mint mark as standard for Melbourne issues, emerged from one of the lowest mintage years in the entire George V era, resulting in far fewer examples entering the market compared to prosperous periods like the 1920s. The design remains the classic and enduring George V composition the obverse presents. Sir Edgar Bertram McKennell's stately portrait of the king, crowned and robed, facing left with the legend, Jorgivs VDG Brit, Omen, Rex FD Ind, IMP, encircling the bust and the engraver's initials, BM. Subtly at the truncation, details that, in premium survivors, reveal exquisite craftsmanship amid an era of austerity. The reverse features the straightforward yet iconic layout. 1 half penny in 3 bold lines within an inner beaded circle, above a plain lower scroll, all encompassed by Commonwealth of Australia, 1932. Those few coins that did circulate often did so extensively during desperate times, passing through countless hands in soup kitchens, labor exchanges, and meager transactions, leading to heavy wear that eroded the fine portrait details, robe textures, and reverse beading. As a consequence, high-grade examples, those preserving original reddish-brown or red luster, sharp strikes with full definition, and attractive surfaces, free of major distractions, are exceptionally rare and command intense competition among collectors. This date resonates deeply for its historical narrative, symbolizing national resilience through crisis while serving as a cornerstone for advanced George V half-penny date sets or thematic collections focused on Depression-era numismatics. It stands alongside other low-mintage standouts, like the 1930 and 1931 issues, offering a tangible artifact from a defining chapter in Australia's story, when coin production mirrored the nation's economic struggles. In the modern market, choice uncirculated or gem quality specimens with superior technical and aesthetic qualities continue to perform strongly, driven by unwavering demand from investors and enthusiasts who recognize the inherent scarcity and long-term stability of well-preserved pre-decimal keys. Premium examples in mint state or near-mint condition have realized impressive auction prices, with top-tier pieces achieving sums up to or exceeding $125,000, solidifying its status as a premier value-focused investment with substantial appreciation potential in the ever-evolving rare Australian bronze landscape.